Hey, how you doing, guys? Hope you're doing well. Hope you had a nice day as always. Let me change the music very quickly. Reduce the sound a bit. So, this week is about getting your job, to prepare yourself as best as you can for the hiring process and different stuff like that. Today we are going to talk about interviews, how to nail them, and more especially how to avoid the loaded questions that you might know or might have heard, like, I don't know. What makes you think you will be an asset to a company? What do you bring to the table? Tell me more about you. Are you able to say no? How would your acquaintances describe you? It's kind of strange question. Or also, what is your favorite color and why? Some kind of questions that have kind of nothing to do with the interview, with the job position, with your knowledge as an artist, but are very often there in interviews. Generally, those questions are the most intimidating ones, and yet they are the easiest to answer. I'm gonna talk about them a bit later, but generally in an interview, whether it's the first one or the second one, we're gonna talk about that too. It's all about being congruent with who you are, with what you have shown in your portfolio, and not screwing that up. You don't have to nail scores, to nail points. You just have to not screw that up. Let's talk very quickly about the first kind of interview that you can have. Before that, let's just get a premise. Interviews are generally, unless the company is soliciting you as a freelancer, so it might be a bit more advanced already. But for a first job, interviews are generally the first step for the hiring process. Once you have sent your work, then if they are interested in your portfolio, which is already a good sign, they are then answering to you positively and doing their best to make an appointment with you, whether it's on the phone, in person, through Skype, Discord, or whatever, to talk to you, to know a bit more about who you are, explain the project to you, then maybe negotiate with you. I'm gonna put on my glass. Tonight I'm a bit tired. It's better. So, generally there are two kinds of interviews. The first one is happening generally before the art test. It's basically as an answer or just after having answered positively to your application. They basically want to know who you are, they want to know your personality, and they want to see if it's basically congruent with what you have displayed in your resume, in your portfolio. They might ask you some questions about your technique. Generally, it's to know who you are, so they might ask you also about your experience, about basically everything that might be on your resume. So expect to be interrogated about everything that you display on your resume. So if you say you like archery, just in case, expect to be asked about it. So the TLDR is just don't lie on your resume, don't lie in your letter. It should be fine. They want to know your artistic background, your experience, what you like to do. They will also talk to you a bit about the project they would be interested in you to work on, as long as you have returned them a properly signed NDA. They will ask you about the project, what's your opinion on it, if you are interested in working in it, stuff like that. Overall, for the first interview, it's still a selling process. You might have not done the art test yet. You still need to convince them to give you a chance to do the art test with you. So it's a setting process and it's all about trust. Remember that a confused mind always says no. So if they are confused about what you are saying, they are not trusting you, they might be reluctant to give you basically the artist and to get you to access the next stage of the hiring process. My main tip will be to have like an elevator pitch to introduce yourself in like 30 seconds. Like, hey, my name is Timothée Mato. I'm 26 years old. I'm a French illustrator and concept artist specialized in keyframes and environment design. I've been working for companies like Ubisoft, Netflix, Quantic Dream, NetEase Games, Free Range Games, Happy Elements. I've been also teaching for a few years now in schools like Belcourt in France and now more recently at New Edge in France. Aside from that, I like archery and I'm also getting a formation to become a certified hypnotist, and I will be specializing on the mental issues that the art industry members are facing the most commonly. Apart from work, I also like, as I say, doing archery, hitting a gym, playing D&D as a GM, and working on my own game project called Neige. That's it. As simple as that. Just get that elevator pitch ready. Don't recitate it in a robotic way, of course. But get it ready. It's something you can prepare. And generally, the easier it flows, the better. Because it shows confidence. It shows that you are confident. It shows that you know what you're talking about. And if you are telling about your achievements and stuff like that confidently, I tend to trust you generally. Also, something that is very important for that first interview and for the second one too, do your goddamn research about the company. You absolutely need to know what they are officially working on currently, what they worked on in the past, what they are known for. And you need to do your best to make an educated guess on what they might be working on. That is still a secret. Of course, don't break any NDAs. Don't say, yeah, I've heard about some leaks about that. No. Just do your best to make an educated guess about that based upon your research. For example, I got in contact with Ubisoft ANSI at the time. I told them, and it was true, that my favorite game at the time was a game called Dark Messiah of Might and Magic, on which Ubisoft ANSI worked extensively in the past. And the HR was like, wow, you know that game? Nobody knows about that. I was like, yeah, I used to stream that game a lot. I broke the game in dozens of different ways. It is so fun. I love the franchise. I love the Might and Magic franchise that I know you have. They had it at the time. Now it's not at Ubisoft anymore, but they had it at the time. I'm like, yeah, you like Might and Magic? Yeah, I played the first ones up to the 7th one, the old RPG simulator. I love them. It shows that you have done your research. And at the time, it was not owned by Ubisoft, but you can still expand on the franchise to show that you know the franchise. Don't recitate a lesson, of course. Just show that you have done your research. This is for the first kind of interview. This is the fastest one. It's just basically to know who you are, to know if the personality fits. And then generally, if you are interested, if they are interested, they give you the artist. Let's say you do the artist. Now there is the second interview. It's more about negotiation and stuff like that. We're going to have an entire presentation probably tomorrow about the negotiations. But, or maybe the artist, will depend, maybe both. These are two short subjects. But the second interview, it's generally a bit of time after exchanging with them. But sometimes it might also be asked straight away if they are a bit more direct. If the first interview was mainly about getting to know who you are overall and establishing a fundamental picture of you, the second interview is mainly to see if you are congruent with the idea they have about you, what you have showed through your portfolio, and your art test. Second interview is in order to know how much of a team player you are and if you would fit the overall team and the company. So first of all, don't worry at all. It's not hard. If you have passed the first interview, if you have passed the portfolio review, if you have passed the art test, it's already a very good sign. It's not done yet, but it's already a very good sign. You are not out of the contest yet. So it's all about not screwing that up. So basically, without thinking it's already a win, you can already assume that you scored a good enough score and they are expecting good discoveries about you to continue. So it's all about keeping the momentum and not screwing that up. And companies in that kind of interviews will try, in general, to put you in front of an HR and an artist, like the art director, a lead of your department, something like that. And they will attempt to ask you some questions that make you feel a bit uncomfortable, to challenge you, to corner you a bit, as always, and to see if you are remaining calm and chill or if you are getting defensive. If you are getting defensive, you lost, because it shows that you don't have that much confidence and that one question can destabilize you. And again, trust is the main point in order to close the sale, close the deal. And if you are starting to get defensive, they might be like, hey, what are you hiding here? Might be something you are trying to hide from us. And we don't want that. What I show here? What's of photo task incurs during an interview? Salary, about you as a person. Are you able to do short mock interview with yourself? Of course, yeah, there are negotiations about salaries and stuff like that. We're going to have a presentation about this subject, like negotiations. During this kind of interview, you have negotiations. It might be before or after. But I want to address today the loaded questions. But yeah, about you as a person is the kind of stuff that we will talk about. They want to know you, so they want to scrub the surface to see what's behind your mask, basically. So we try to ask you a lot of questions that are stressing up a lot of students. This is what I call shit test. This is not a nice way to call it, but to me, these are shit questions. It's like, what makes you think you will be an asset to a company? Why are you applying to a company? What do you bring to the table? Don't you think you are a bit young for that job? Don't you think you are a bit inexperienced? Are you able to say no? How was your last test experience? How was school? Always ask for 10k more than the initial offer. Will be curious to hear your take on it when the topic comes up. I have a different approach. What JameSpec is saying is true in theory, but you need to have the argument to back that. As a junior, it can be hard, but you have some ways to lock down a minimum salary that they have no way to refuse to you. Otherwise, they're sure they don't care. But yeah, basically a negotiation, the TLDR about that is that a company wants the most work out of you for the least amount of money. You want the biggest amount of money as possible for the least amount of work. It's just a game, and negotiation is finding something in between. So of course, if you are not asking for more than what you want, than the initial offer, and you agree with what they want, they win. And if you say you want 10k more, it's not in their budget. I try to negotiate to 5. If you accept that, there's something in between. It's probably already more than what you want. So you need to ask 10k more than, maybe not the initial offer, but than what you want. This way you have a margin of negotiation when you can give up a bit of terrain, close the deal, while still being above what you want. Scary to negotiate when you get a dream job offer. Oh my god, dream job offer. This is Red alert. Nope. This is danger. We're gonna talk about that tomorrow. But if you say to the company, hey, you're my dream job, you're fucking dead. You have no way of negotiating if you say it's the dream job. We're gonna see that properly tomorrow. It's going to be a bit dark. It's part of the game. And my TLDR about that is to never, ever tell a company that it is your dream job or your dream project. And also you never tell them that you need that job to pay your loans, your student debt, your mortgage or whatever. Otherwise you are freaking dead. This is a cliffhanger for tomorrow. This might take 2 hours to explain, so I want to stick up to the subject of today. But tomorrow it will be about that, and you will understand why that idea of dream job is setting yourself for failure and for very, very, very bad stuff that might happen to you. If they reach out to you on their own, do you do have the room for negotiation? Yeah. If you are applying to them, they have the upper hand at first. And we will see with those questions how to flip the script with finesse, not brutally. If they are reaching out to you, means that they want you, they need you more than you need them. So you have a bit of leverage to negotiate in your favor, indeed. All of that will be talked about tomorrow. No worries. Those are very good questions. The common point between all those questions that I mentioned, are you able to say no? How would your parents describe you? How would your friends describe you? Or how was your previous experience? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Do you have any questions? Don't you think you are a bit young? Stuff like that. There are some questions that are an attempt to destabilize you and see how you react to something unexpected like that is poking some holes in your game. I call them shit tests because HR asking you this question in general don't really care about the answer themselves. They care more about how you react to them. Those questions are stupid. What's your favorite color and why? My favorite color is blue. How does that matter? I don't give a fuck. What animal would you be and why? I don't know. I would be a fat cat sleeping all day long on a couch nearby a chimney. This is a very cynical answer. You should definitely not answer like that. Don't get me wrong, at the same time, the answer might be important, but the most important is how you react to them. You pass the shit test by not being affected by them, by remaining calm and answering with a logical and assertive answer. If you start being defensive in front of those questions, they will think that you might not be congruent and that the mask that you are wearing in order to cover some defaults is starting to crack. And it's very bad for them because they are like, should we trust that guy? Maybe that guy or that girl bypassed our gatekeeping system and is trying to trick us. We should not allow for that. So let's handle those questions one by one if you want. And let's try to dissect them and understand the meta behind it. It's like a game. Let's understand the meta game. So, a question like, what makes you think you will be an asset to our company or project? Or a question like, what are your main qualities and default? What do you bring to the table? Tell me more about you. How would your acquaintances describe you? Basically, the HR with those kind of questions is trying to gauge the risks that the company is taking by hiring you. You must absolutely show that you have enough recall on yourself to see your own problems and to see how to fix them. This way, when telling about your defaults, you always Talk about an actionable solution to fix them. You must be extremely careful not using extreme qualifications or terms when speaking about you. Like, I'm too something, I'm reacting extremely strong when I'm stressed, I'm losing all my control when I'm stressed, something like that. Don't use extreme terms. Sometimes I wish there was more transparency in rate in the industry to understand what you can ask for. I know there was a survey, but it's a bit outdated. The truth is, there's no average salary. I mean, there is one, but it's entirely up to what you are showing in your portfolio, how much the company wants you, and how much you are able to defend yourself. Most interview is done by HR, not artist or director. Generally, if the company is doing its job well, there's one HR and one artist, like a lead or art director, and they are doing the interview together to change you on different points. Hello, Tassila, how are you doing? How was the bar? But basically, yeah, never use extreme qualification or adjectives about you when speaking about you. This is all about exposing a risk and diffusing the bomb it might be. Make sure to avoid disguising qualities as default, like I'm too perfectionist, I'm too motivated, I'm too passionate. No, it's super cliche. Nobody gives a crap about it. Let me give you an example. That is true. About what are your main default, for example. Personally, I'm often appearing as a very shy, introverted person for a moment when I come to a new work environment. I'm like a shy cat discovering a new place. I just need to take my marks to recognize where is everything. And very surely, after, once I become comfortable with the team and the environment, I'm starting to open. See? You expose the problem. You diffuse the bomb by explaining the solution to fix it. It's just, give me a few days, then I'm opening, there won't be any problem. I just need to get used to that new space. If they're asking you about the qualities, or what would you be an asset, it's simply about you being able to bring qualities that match with what the job or the company requires. So again, it's important to do your research and see what they are asking for in the job offer. For example, the job announcement. There are often some qualities like creating, thinking out of the box, team player, strong fundamentals in light. Don't try to flex too much. But try to pick something that is pertinent. For example, if it was me, my main quality now would be something like, as I am a teacher too and a mentor, I'm very used to fixing problem. I'm very patient with people. And also I know how to handle points of view that are different than mine about the same subject. Plus I have a lot of pedagogy now. If you pass the artist or portfolio, shouldn't your asset to the company be obvious already? On the artistic side, yes. On the human side, this is what this interview is made for. This interview is made to see if you are a team player or not. The artist and the portfolio is to see if your art is good enough. The interviews are to see if your personality are matching the expectations of the company on a human level. This is part of the hiring and selection process. This is why you need to prepare for that. So do your research on the values of the company and pick your qualities accordingly. The next question that is very important is something like, why are you applying to our company? The process is mostly in-house studio, also remote work and freelance. For freelance, most of the time you don't have interviews, you don't have artists because they generally want you. If you are applying to them for freelance or remote, you might be going through that. When they are reaching out to you, you have like one talk. But generally, when they are reaching out to you to ask you to work, they already want you and you are bypassing the artist. But generally, this is once you have experience. It rarely happens on the first job. So why are you applying to our company? Please do never say, I am a big fan of your game. They know it. Don't say, since I'm looking for, I've always been wanting to do your job. They know it. And do never, ever, ever say, you are my dream company. I've been always dreaming to work with you. You are my endgame. You are my one. You are dead. Because they'll be like, oh, where are your dream job? Where are your endgame? Well, in that case, you will comply to all those rules. You will comply to be doing 10 hours of unpaid overwork. You don't want to lose your dream job, don't you? You have worked so hard for that. No? In that case, you should comply. That's how you're dead. That's how you have signed a pact with the devil. But you are not paid well, doing crunch, treated like shit. Just because you said it was your dream job. And now they have a bullet against you for the negotiation. It's like, hey, you want that job, otherwise we kill that. So don't give ammunition to the company to negotiate against you. It's as simple as that. But we're gonna talk about that tomorrow. So why are you applying to a company? Don't say I'm a fan of your game. Don't say I've always been dreaming about that job. They're hearing that all day long, 50 times per day. And if you treat them like a star, they will treat you like a fan. Don't say I desperately need that job because of my loans or my debt. So if I shut up, I need to expand my soundboard. It's going to be way more than that at some point. Don't say you need that job. It's none of their problem. Plus, you mismanaging your life and your money in a way that you need a job to repair the debt that you have is none of their problem. It shows that you are not organized and not taking care of yourself. So it's a big red flag. Even if it's true, just don't talk about that. That's another ammunition against you. Instead, do your best to show that you are attracted to the values of the companies or of the project. If the company is famous for having family spirit, say something like, well, I've done all my scholarship in a private school with very small classes and a huge emphasis on the teachers knowing everyone, having a family-like atmosphere. And as those virtues appear as something that you are clinging to, naturally I feel very attracted to your company because it resonates with me. Anyway, Easy, how are you doing? How was the bar? If the company is saying right from the start that they are striving for excellence, like for example, Naughty Dog, 1 pixel brush, you can adapt that sentence and say something like, during my entire scholarship, I've always been into schools where the teachers were very, very demanding. They're pushing us very hard to reach excellence. We are also striving to deliver the most excellent production ever. So naturally, your company seems to be like a natural following of what I've known my entire life. I like that my scholarship anecdote. This kind of person, you are telling a story. So it's kind of cool. I'm attracted to the high level of artists and work and would be excited to learn from my colleagues. In theory, it should be a good argument. In practice, it's a terrible argument. Let me explain why. It shows that you are thinking about you and learning. They know you want to learn. They know you are young, you want to learn. But you show right there that you are interested in learning from them. And you are not putting something to the table to give to them. It's a bit selfish. It might be perceived as a bit selfish. Plus, even though that's what I'm training people watching those streams for, they absolutely hate those smart-ass kids. I know that for 6 months they will be trained while being paid. And you can just change company every 6 months and get trained for the 2 first years. Have a crazy resume, getting trained by so many people and not bringing anything to the table. And they hate that. They hate kids that have that vision already. So if you say that, it shows that you might have that vision already. They might be like, oh, another smack kid would just want to learn for free. Nope. You want someone that brings to the table. It's like that quote in 300 that is something like, give them nothing, take them everything. That's exactly what you are directly saying when you are saying something like that. So I appreciate the attention, but if you say you want to learn, you need to rephrase that. For example, in the you are a company striving for excellence. And I've been doing my scholarship with teachers that were very talented and pushing us to reach excellence. Your company seems to be doing the same with their artists that are insanely good, striving for excellence and pushing each other towards that perfection. That's something that I'm really attracted to. It might be incredibly beneficial to have everyone trying to lift each other to deliver the best product as possible. See something like that. I've said exactly the same thing, that you are eager to learn with the best in the world. That now you are bringing something to the table because you are saying, by teaching me, we are delivering better results. See my point? But for the why are you applying to our company is basically, I'm attracted to your values, to your core values. It's not because you are a gamer. It's not because you are a grandmaster at Overwatch. They don't care. It's because you are attracted to the core values of the family of that company. Next question. This one is tricky. How was your last test experience? Well, if you don't have any experience before, you won't have that question. Or it might be about the project that you had for your degree, for graduation. Maybe it was a short movie, stuff like that. But how was your last test experience? Make sure that you are not describing all of your experiences like hell on earth. Because they will assume you will think exactly the same if you work with them. You even have to play their games. I think I heard something like Riot ask you if you play the game or you rank. Yeah, Riot Games, they definitely ask you about that because they want you to know there are only 2 games. 3 now, I guess. You need to know them. Don't say it's not my kind of game. Don't say that. I like to say I've been playing a few of them. I don't have that much time to play anymore, but I've been following very closely what you have been doing. I've been playing a few. Again, it's about doing your research. I generally tend to watch few let's plays of the gameplay and stuff like that, few critique, a few ideas of feedbacks to give, like good arguments, bad ones, constructive criticism. This is all about doing your research. So even though my last test Assassin's Creed game was... I don't even know if I played the second one, but I definitely played like the 10 first hours of the first one. That's it. I was perfectly able to talk about Assassin's Creed because I've been doing research, watching let's plays, watching critiques and stuff like that, and I knew perfectly what it was about. So how was your last test experience? Don't describe all of your previous experience like hell on earth because they will assume it will be the same if they work with you. And plus, they will assume that it's basically, well, you have been having bad experience with different companies at different times with different people on different projects, on different styles. The only common point is you. So it sounds like a you project. They are fucked. So don't be negative. Plus, there is absolutely no room for negativity during an interview. You are killing the vibe. Plus, you're appearing like a whiny little kid, and they don't want that. They want a responsible adult. Instead, do your best to show the positive aspect. Tell about the fact that you have learned a lot. And do your best with finesse to explain that it brought you all the qualifications that the job you're applying to is requiring. Don't just say, oh, I learned a lot. They don't care. Instead, be very specific on what you learned. Maybe something like, I was working in a team where environment designers and 3D environment artists were in the same team. So working so closely helped me a lot understanding how to facilitate their pipeline and their process. With this specific aspect, it might be with optimization, level design, level art, stuff like that. So this way with that question, you are taking that opportunity to qualify even more to them and show that you have been trained and prepared in advance to do a good job on that work. Next question might be a bit strange, but for students that are not working yet, it might be something similar. It is something like, why is there a hole in your resume between 2019 and 2020? Maybe, why don't you have any experience yet? Maybe something like that. Do never say something like, because no one wanted me. Don't be, please, it's not about lying. It's just about not killing the vibe. For break times, always says that you wanted to get back to learning in order to sharpen your skills, and always have some example ready on what you worked on. This is especially important for people who just finished school and have zero line on their resume and have a big lag, like 6 months, 1 year between their graduation year and their first job interview. The company will think at least that you are serious because you are still sharpening your skill. Maybe you did a mentorship, maybe you redo your portfolio, something like that. But at least you are doing something instead of playing Valorant or Overwatch all day long. So do never say, because I wanted to play the next DLC of World of Warcraft for 3 months like a madman. Always say it was to learn. My example, this is a true one, I talked about it, is in 2020, I had a huge job opportunity for Axis. It got cancelled because of the COVID situation. So instead, as I had no opportunities at the moment, I decided to use that time to do a mentorship with Jamal Jurabaev about concept art for movies. I also started doing a matte painting masterclass with Stephen Coleman in order to sharpen even more my realistic environment skills and learn compositing tools like Nuke and scattering terrain and optimizing scene in Blender and stuff like that. This shows that even when something bad happens to you, you are still doing something productive in order to get better. And this way, they can project themselves like, if that person ends up working with us, even during low intensity times, this person will still remain autonomous and productive and know how to become better. Will bad personal life event be a valid answer to learn your history? This is a very tough question. I'm on the fence of don't bring pity or negative emotion to an interview. You don't want to kill the vibe. You don't want them to hire you because they have pity with you and it won't work. I know that some bad stuff happened. I have a friend of mine. She was basically the roommate of a common friend we had who battled cancer for 3 years. So she was basically putting her entire life and career in standby to take care of her roommate. So this is kind of tough to answer and justify why is there 3 years of gap. So in that case, you might be explaining that without crying, without getting emotional. You do your best to remain calm and not bring negative vibes to the interview. But if possible, I would avoid that. That's my 2 cents. That's only my opinion. But I'm on the fence on no negativity in an interview. And if there is, what did you do during this 1 year break? I learned like mad. I learned this and this and this and this and this. Like this. You rapid fire all the things that you have learned. The guys will be like,
wow.
Next question, very important one. Are you able to say no? The TLDR about that is to say something like, yes, indeed, I know how to say no when I need to show my limit. I'm, however, open to negotiations. It's all about not being too categorical and showing that you can stand up for yourself. If you say you can't say no, you just openly displayed that people can abuse that weakness in your personality without facing any consequences. And guess what? They will. And you just need one predatory person during that interview or in the company to notice that. This is how you can lead to something absolutely unacceptable, as we have seen in some articles recently. Not being able to say no is a kiss of death. And if right now you are saying that you are not able to say no, in that case, they might be, okay, so what about paying you 50% less than what you ask? Oh, we already have the answer because you are unable to say no. Deal. You're a cheap slave. This is all that I have to say about that question. I think developing portfolio tools or mentorship will be a safe answer, right? Or should we specify the tools? Developing your portfolio, in that case, there might be, why do you need a new portfolio? Was the previous one not good enough? In that case, you're tricked again. So always say, this is to learn. You know my story, for those who have followed the first stream, so you can watch the replay on YouTube, by the way. Subscribe on YouTube. But when I left Ubisoft, they wanted to renew me. I was like, no, sorry, I'm trapped. I absolutely need to redo a new portfolio to get the opportunity that I want. I cannot say that to Quantic Dream. Like, hey, why is there a gap? Because I wanted to do a portfolio to be on something better than walking steep. It was always because I want to learn. But you can say, and all those experiences allowed me to create a new portfolio that is more suited to my needs now and to what I want and to what, in parentheses, what you need. See what I mean? Same idea, rephrased properly. If you say it's to work on my portfolio, it might be, they might be like, hey, was that portfolio not ready before? And maybe, oh, problem. Not good. Next question. Don't you think you are a bit young for that job? This question is such a dick move. Don't you think you are a bit young / inexperienced for that job? This is such a dick move. This is a provocation to test you. Don't be defensive. Remember that being young also has advantages such as having a lot of energy, reactivity, and being adaptable and knowing how to learn fast. This is high level. This is tricky. But if you can, you need to flip the script at that moment. I was 21 when I did my interview for Ubisoft. my dad and my granddad trained me for that question. And I said something like, oh, really? I didn't know. Actually, I wanted to thank you to receive me right now and having the opportunity to do an interview with you and an artist. This is such an honor. I feel so much valued in my work. And this is the best compliment you can give me already. See what I mean? You flip the script. You're acknowledging that you are young. You are being kind of humble. At the same time, you are flipping the script. They wanted you to be intimidated. You are like so enthusiastic and you are thankful for that opportunity. You're like thankful. This is the talking to you right now is proving me that I'm worth something and that my work can reach up to big companies. This is giving me so much confidence, so much more confidence than I already had. Thank you so much. You're flipping the script. You see what I mean? You can answer something like, oh, really? I was about to say that I take the fact of being so young and doing an interview with you right now as a compliment. It means a lot to me. Thanks a lot. And say it's just something like that. I'm going to copy and paste that, by the way. Just for you. You can copy and paste that answer. Tell me how it goes. Before all these interviews, when you receive offers, should you respond right away promptly or can you take the time to do research? Answer within 24 hours. This is plenty of time to do your research. What do you want? Stop scratching my back, kitty! It's plenty of time to do your research. So, yeah, don't wait 1 week because time kills all deal. You need to strike the iron when it's hot. So don't answer in the second because it shows desperation and neediness. But answer within 12 to 24 hours. This is more than enough to do research and you can still do your research afterward. Because they won't call you on the phone immediately. How would you decline an offer? You say, thank you, sir. I really appreciate your offer. Unfortunately, I'm busy right now. That's fine. This is if you want to dodge the question. Or you can say, unfortunately, yeah, Jeremy, unfortunately, I'm busy. Already taken. It's kind of good. Or saying something like, unfortunately, I'm not sure I will be the best person for that job given by the description you gave me. This is fine. You are honest. Don't accept like a character design job if you are only doing environment. You need to be honest. They appreciate transparency. You can describe like, hey, you're asking for a character design job. I'm only doing environment. I appreciate your intention. If you have an environment design job, I would gladly appreciate to talk about that with you. But for character design, I don't think I'm the best person suited for that job. That's fine. So you are flipping the script with something like that without being a dick. However, you should always acknowledge that indeed it's only the beginning of the journey and you still have a lot to learn. And technically, with the previous question, you should be able to prove that you want to learn, that you know that you are young and that you still have to learn a lot. Next question. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? This one is so simple, but also it might be an opportunity to score points if it's going very well. If the interview was going very well and relax it before, you can crack a small joke like, we're winning the lottery or without that? Because this is a stupid question. In 10 years, nobody can know where you are in 10 years. But what they are expecting you with that is basically to avoid that small smart kid like, hey, in 10 years I'm not here. Actually, in 6 months I'm not here anymore. I just want you to train me and I'm out. I want you to project yourself in the company. So the best answer is something like, basically, you see the job that you are applying to? Establish the logical following from where you are right now towards the company you are aiming at. So if you are applying as a concept artist in a AAA company, maybe in 10 years you want to become an art director or lead. So just say something like that. See, I'm not sure, we'll have to see is a damn answer because you are not giving an answer. It's a non-answer. And it's kind of horrible to not have an answer. Because they might be waiting for you and stuff like that. They won't. But it shows that you are very dodgy. I don't want that. It's better to tell the truth. But you can just say, sorry, I'm busy right now, I can't. This is simple. Do not justify yourself. Do not... not sure, we'll have to see. I don't know. This is dodgy for me. I tend to avoid that comparison, but it's I'm gonna compare an interview to a date. Bear with me, okay? This is the only time I will do that. They don't want you to lie on your profile. They don't want to have makeup and filters and not looking the same on a date. So the way to bypass that, the artistic version to confirm that, is to do an artist. It's like, oh, okay, there's this fancy portfolio. Is he using filter and cheating on that, or is it legit? Let's do an artist. Okay, he's legit. Now let's do an interview to see if its personality matches what he has been telling us in his letter and in his resume and stuff like that. Because they don't want to be duped. Bear with me, okay? This is a cheesy comparison, I know. But this is a sales process at the same time. And this is, in both cases, it's about trust. Sure, you can lie, probably try to lie your way towards what you want. But truth will always come back. So if someone tells you, yeah, I don't really know if I like you, I will see. I don't know. To me, it's worse than someone telling me, no, I'm sorry, I don't like you. Same with a company. I would not like a company tell me, yeah, I'm not sure. We'll see if we are hiring you. I don't really appreciate that. That's just my 2 cents. Sorry for that comparison. I'm doing my best to not do any comparison with anything and stick to the subject, but this one is kind of on point for that case. So whether you say yourself in 10 years, unless you can crack a joke like, in 10 years, assuming I won the lottery or not, or something like, I don't know, I will be a multi-millionaire running a concept art empire at the 19th floor of a high-rise above Tokyo with a Maine Coon sleeping on my desk. This might be an answer too, but that's not what they want. They want you to project yourself in their company with them. They want you, basically, with that question, they want loyalty. Yeah, the VOD will be available probably by the end of the week or next week on YouTube. You can see that on Twitch. Feel free to subscribe on YouTube. This way you see what's been released, basically. But yeah, thanks for coming. Thanks for all your questions. It was very, very nice questions. And stick for tomorrow's presentation about negotiation. It will answer a lot of your questions. But yeah. Next question. What's your level in English, Chinese, German, French? Just answer the truth, because whatever you answer, the interview might switch to that language instantly after you answered. You should at least be familiar with the technical language of that job you're applying to. At least in English. Yeah, the topics are marked on YouTube. Just check the YouTube links on the Discord. You will see, and check on the YouTube channel. There is a nice banner. And both the banner and the title are explaining the subject. So no worries about that. It's very well presented, I hope. For English, I know there's a lot of French people talking very baguette like that. No worries, my friend. You can talk very English like that, very baguette, as long as you know the words of the job, the words of the job. You can talk very baguette like that. As long as you know the vocabulary, is good. Because guess what? Especially for French people, everyone is talking English like that. So no worries, my friend. Don't worry, be happy. I love pudding. Omelette du fromage. Anyways. No worries about that. But be careful when they are asking you that question. The interview might switch into that language instantly after. You need to be prepared to switch to. Next question. It's kind of strange, but it's, do you have any question? This one is happening generally towards the end of the interview. This is for you to show your curiosity, but don't ask about confidential things like, what's your next IP? That's not the point. That's beside the point. Instead, ask about like, what's the next step of the hiring process? What's the next step now? Something like that. Shows that you are involved, that you care, stuff like that. Also, again, this is a bit advanced, but if the interview is doing very well, you must ask them a question about them qualifying to you. Like something like, you asked me about what I brought to the table. May I flip that question towards you and ask you, what are the advantages here of working with you? Aside from the work atmosphere, do you offer any other advantage beside from work? And they need to qualify for you. And this is very, 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 very good. If before they ask you something like, are you applying to other companies right now? If they're asking you that question, you never answer, yes, I'm applying to other companies right now, because it shows that you are, it might involve that you are not very loyal to them. Do not ever say, no, I don't have anyone else. I'm not applying to other people right now, because it shows that you might be desperate or hungry for that, and it's giving them ammunition to negotiate against you. Something you can tell a bit between the line is like, yeah, I'm actually in touch with other companies maybe, but you are the first one I'm talking to right now. Actually, I'm genuinely interested in your company. This way it shows that you have options. So you are not depending on them. You are not relying on them to save you. At the same time, it shows that you are interested in them. So it shows that you qualified them to you as the best choice. If they ask you that question, and now they ask you, do you have any question? They very often ask you that question at the end of the interview. And you're asking about, hey, what are the advantages of being one of your employees beside your overall work environment and projects? If they really want you and they know that you might have other options, this might be their time to qualify to you. They're telling you, hey, we have fresh fruits for free all day long at the cafeteria. We have free coffee, free tea. We are doing a lot of parties at the studio at every release of the game. You get one copy of every game for you and also for another member of your family. You get some discounts for the games. You get all the catalog of games that we have. Plus, you have the bus tickets that are paid half by the companies. Plus, you have some restaurant tickets. Plus, we also are partnered with a gym. So if you want a gym membership, you can get it for almost free. Plus, we are organizing events and stuff like that. We are often reserving movies at the theaters. So we have the entire room just for the company. So if you want to join. And they are flexing what they might bring to the table to you, because they want to qualify to you in that case. It's a way to see if they are really interested in you. If they are not qualifying like, well, we have this, and this. And they are not involved in trying to sell you something. It might show that they are not really interested. Might be a way to test the water. Don't take that for truth. It might be a way, judging by the body language of the person telling you about that. They are trying to sell you, to hype you about that. It might show that they really want you there. They are very indifferent, like, yes, we have this. Might be part of the game to not try to sell you something. If they are playing like a 4D chess with you. But generally, if the interview is going well, the atmosphere is relaxed. People are starting to laugh and smile. They keep smiling while doing that. It's a good sign. Next question, very hard. What would you change in our games and how? Or movies? This one is super tricky. It's basically them asking you to display that you are able to express some kind of feedback while being constructive and not being a dick. Don't say, your games are always the same for the last 6 years, just different settings, nothing's new. This is fucking shit. Instead, try to show them a solution. And basically, that's the exact same principle as speaking about your own default. You need to display some actionable solution. Identify some kind of minor issue, not a big problem, not something like, hey, your monetization is shit, it's very predatory towards the player, I hate that, and I fucking hate you, fuck you. No, you don't do that. You pick a minor detail. You're like, oh, this is a missed opportunity, you should improve that. You could improve that, I think. People will benefit from that for that reason. So for example, about Ubisoft, I said something like this. Given the maturity and potential displayed by your very well-established IPs, I would really love to see what would this experience do. This experience on open world, narrative design, environment narration, stuff like that. Do on a brand new IP and see how you could utilize that as you are freed from the expectations and the checklist that you have to fill to satisfy your players for them in order to be in a known terrain. This way, I really think it might be a huge breath of fresh air and could be very, very beneficial. And it would probably open you to real artistic freedom because there are no expectations on it. I would really like to see that in a game. You see, it's like you see an opportunity that is not being used. It's not about telling them, hey, this thing is shit, change that. It's... See that point? Might be the next goal. Maybe the next good thing to do. And this, again, proves that you have done your research about the game. That's why I'm telling you, when you're doing your research about the game, watch critiques of the games. Not just people clashing the game or saying it's the best game in the world. Don't read Kotaku or shit like that. Look at quote-unquote independent reviews. Not the satirical ones. Like the, I don't know. Is that the Gymquisition? Stuff like that. It's a bit too satirical. But, yeah, check some independent reviews. Stuff like that are not condemning the game. That are explaining the good side, the bad side. For French ones, for French people, look at Les Chroniques de Monsieur Plouf. Best reviews ever in French. Maybe not for you, but to parrot that in an interview, that's very good. That's very good. Aside from when he's attacking companies, of course. When he's talking about the game and the missed opportunities, that's what you want to do. A missed opportunity. Next question. How would you justify the salary that you are asking us? We'll talk more about this question in the negotiation video, but overall, if you are a seasoned artist, instantly and with assertiveness, you say, because that's what I'm usually paid. If that's your first job, and you have to move to the city of the company, just say something like, this is a first-time job. This is a full-time job that you're offering me. Having a full-time job means being financially independent. So it means being able to pay some mortgage, to pay for a room, to pay for an apartment, and living decently. The cost of an apartment is this price, so I need at least 3 times of that price if I want to even have a slight chance to get an apartment and move there. Of course, if you are living in very expensive cities like London, Paris, New York, LA, asking for 3 times the price of a 1500 flat might be a bit tough. But overall, this rule kind of works. This rule kind of works, at least in France, because if they really care, which they generally do, they really want you to move, they have no choice but to accept that. Otherwise, you cannot find an apartment unless they are helping you on the apartment. In that case, they might be explaining that to you right now. And this way, you have locked the minimal salary you can have. As a junior, that's already kind of good, because it's already better than generally the minimal wage. That's how I did. I realized I was 300 euros above my buddy who had 1 year of experience already, and I had 0. Just because I say that. There's no way for them to refuse that. There's also a quick list of things not to say in an interview. First one, sorry I'm late. I got stuck in the traffic or in the bus or in the subway. The subway got stuck for 20 minutes. It's like, no, you idiot. You are late to the interview because you, and only you, because you didn't leave home soon enough to anticipate for the traffic being stuck. It shows that 1, you're not punctual. 2, you like finding excuses for your mistakes. And 3, you are unable to make your disposition for a job interview. Stupid. Honestly, if someone would say that to me, and if I was an HR, oh, 2 people left. They were later during an interview, I guess. If I was an HR and I was hearing that right now, I would instantly disqualify A1 telling me that. Of course, if you blow up a tire or get stuck in a surprise accident, well, just call the company on the phone when it happens, assuming you are expecting to come a lot sooner than the interview. Because these exceptional things, it can happen. And in that case, that's not your fault. And technically, you should always move few hours before the interview, just in case. This way they see that you are maybe 50 miles away 3 hours before. You call them like, hey, sorry, I blew up a tire. You're not late. It's not 20 minutes before. It's 3 hours before. They will be like, oh, okay. This person was supposed to be way in advance around the company. This person would have not been late. But there is an accident. So that's fine. We're going to reschedule. If you're calling them 5 minutes before, like, sorry, I'm going to be late. I blew up a tire. I got stuck in the traffic. It's like, what the fuck are you doing, man? It's a job interview. You should be punctual. You should arrive on time and arrive way before the interview. Just in case. Because it shows that you can prep in case you get stuck. So if you are not doing that, it shows that you are not organized. Or that you don't care. Or that you are not a serious person that cares enough to take its disposition to arrive on time. Another question. Another thing that you should never say is like, What's the project? I don't remember. Technically, you should already know what you are doing. You should have done your research. You have potentially signed an NDA to talk about the project in the previous interview, or maybe to do an art test about that. And even if it's a surprise project that they are telling you right now, you should be listening. So it shows that either you don't care, or else that you have not read the documents, or else that you might be applying to 50 other companies at the same time that you don't care. This is not serious. Or that you are unable to listen and remember something. In that case, that's stupid. That's a red flag. I'm sorry. Next. Do not say, of course I'm the best candidate. I'm the best candidate for this job. I am the one person you need. Yeah. Congrats, you just appeared as a pretentious prick and everyone would run away from you. Don't tell you're the best, prove it by displaying your qualities with humility and finesse, and let your portfolio talk for you. Next. I need that job, please! The company does not care about your struggles. They hang out at the finish line and they pick the winners. You needing that job and being in financially dire situation is none of their problem, and it shows that you are not able to manage yourself. Next. My last job was horrible, my boss was a tyrant, and the work atmosphere was awful.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer? Every night, I can feel my leg, my arm, even my fingers. The body I've lost.
First, that's what you say, but nothing proves it. Second, that's probably your problem, especially if it happened multiple times. And third, there is no room for negativity in an interview, period. And even if it went horribly in the past, if you are smart, if you are not
Stupid.
you will show the positive that you had from that experience instead of the negative. That's just basic social intelligence. Next one. I will try to succeed. Do or do not do, but there is no try. For the love of your job, ban try from your vocabulary. Even in your entire life, try is shit. Why? Because it implies possible failure and companies are risk averse. This single word shows a total lack of confidence. Potential failure, possible failure for a company is already failure in their mind. Because they are playing devil's advocate, they are always trying to see the worst case scenario that can happen with you. So don't give them ammunition to shoot you with. Instead of I will try to succeed on this art test, or just I will try, you can replace I will try by I will do my best. And this, instead of implying possible failure and uncertainty and doubt and fear and stress, it involves that you are dedicated, motivated. It gets people to trust you more. Next. I should have done X or Y or Z. Well, this one is cute. Unless you have a time machine, you won't be able to change your past. So stop beating yourself. Learn the lessons Stop crying about it and find a solution. Companies want the second option, so take full responsibility, 100% of your choice and mistakes, and show what you have learned and how you've grown from that. As simple as that. The first ever question I got asked by the first company I got on the phone, which was Ubisoft, was, so, did you graduate from your school and get your degree? Just imagine if I told the HR, no, I should have, but I quit because it was horrible and teacher was absolutely garbage, and they made me want to quit, and I did a burnout. I would have just killed the interview right from the start at the first question. Instead, I say something like that. No, I quit before it ended because, sorry. No, I quit before it ended because I was learning way better on my own. I'm better as a self-taught person rather than as a student. And I finished learning on my own. It was better for me. The only negative word is quit. So this is not perfect. But I justified it by positive notion of being a very good self-taught learner. Next one. I'm a perfectionist. Like the 268 candidates before you. And like a 100% of artists. To compare that again on dating, it's like starting a discussion on a dating app with, hey, what's up? Congrats. Everyone does that. How do you want to stand out? How do you want to stand out positively, at least? Next. Remember that the HR is here to spot your personality easily, so show your personality and justify it instead of hiding it behind that blank argument that everyone is using. Same with, I'm young, I'm motivated, I want to learn. Yeah, everyone wants that. Next one. I kid you not, I've seen that on some resume. Like, I'm running a Minecraft server, I'm Grandmaster at Overwatch, I've been doing a day one raid on Destiny. I kid you not, you see that on some resume sometimes. Like, what is your greatest achievement? I've been Grandmaster at Overwatch on Tracer. Congrats, you have 2,000 hours on a video game. You could have spent that on grinding your skills and your portfolio instead of grinding your aim, I guess. And maybe being so good at Overwatch or League of Legends is displaying those big dark spots under your eyes because maybe you're not sleeping that much, not taking care of yourself. And this might also explain why you are attention deficient, because you're not sleeping enough. Congrats. Next one. And last one. I'm passionate with video games or with movies. Like everyone in that industry, I guess. How original. However, if you have done your research properly, and you can find that niche game that almost nobody is talking about, but that the studio have been working on, you can really talk about it. You might score some very, very nice points. Because this is something that very few people will talk about. So this is a way to differentiate yourself. To see that you really know the company. And you stand out positively. This was my example with Ubisoft. Of course, mention that game or that movie only if you have played or watched it. Do your research. My example was the Dark Messiah of Might and Magic. Very few people actually played it. Or remember that game, or even know that it has been made by Ubisoft ANSI. This was truly my favorite game at the time. It's still one of my favorite games ever. I used to speedrun and break the game on Twitch years ago. When I was still gaming on Twitch in front of 3 people. And the HR, when I told her about Dark Messiah, she smiled. She was like, oh, You're the first one who are talking about that game. I'm surprised you even know about it. I was like, yeah, I've been playing that game a lot. When I was younger, when I had more time, I was speedrunning the game. I love how to break it and to explode so many stuff and ludicrous things that you can do in the game. I love it. I miss that game. I miss that game. It's like, yeah, I don't have the time to play anymore. And boom, you're original. Finally, not someone saying, I love Assassin's Creed 17. Especially the one with the Vikings. I played 300 hours. I did all the secondary missions. I got all the flags. All the secondary quests. I explored 100% of the map. I got platinum on the game. Okay, you just spent 500 hours on the game. You could have spent 30 hours finishing the game properly, then using the remaining time to sharpen your skills. So, yeah. Also, if you said I love Assassin's Creed and basically it's Ubisoft ANSI, they have not been working on the game. Ubisoft have been working on Assassin's Creed, but Ubisoft ANSI has not been working on Assassin's Creed for a long time. It might have changed now, but at my time it was not the case. So you are besides the point. Let's have a quick read at an article about some kind of other sheet test. This is destroying my eyes. These are some behavioral interview questions. So these are what I refer as sheet tests. So these are questions about teamwork. For those questions like this, you want a story that illustrates your ability to work with others under changing circumstances. Think team conflict, difficult project constraint, or clashing personalities. Like, talk about a time when you had to work closely with someone whose personality was very different from yours. Give me an example of a time you faced a conflict while working on a team. How did you handle that? Describe a time when you struggled to build a relationship with someone important, or did you eventually overcome that? We all make mistakes we wish we could take back. Tell me about a time you wish you handled a situation differently with a colleague. Tell me about a time you needed to get information from someone who wasn't very responsive. What did you do? Again, it's you facing a problem, being able to solve that. It's exactly as introducing your default. It's you hitting a wall and having enough recall on yourself to fix that. You are showing that you are objective on yourself and a problem on your limits. And you also have enough recall on yourself to fix that. Client-facing skills. If the role you're interviewing for work is with clients, definitely be ready for one with these. You don't really have those kind of questions, so we're gonna skip them. But again, you can check the Muse 30 behavioral interview questions if you want to read about that. Ability to adapt, very important for artists. Times of turmoil are finally good for something. Think of a recent war crisis you successfully navigated. Even if your navigation didn't feel successful at the time, find a lesson or silver lining you took from the situation. It's about being positive, seeing the positive instead of being negative. Tell me about a time you were under a lot of pressure. What was going on? How did you get through it? Describe a time when your team or company was undergoing some change. How did that impact you and how did you adapt? Tell me about the first job you've ever had. What did you learn through the ropes? What did you do to learn the ropes? Sorry. Give me an example of a time when you had to think on your feet in order to delicately extricate yourself from a difficult or awkward situation. Tell me about a time you failed. How did you deal with that situation? Again, it's about being objective and being able to learn something from a bad experience. Turning negativity into opportunity to learn. This is exactly what we have been saying all the time in the previous episode. Every time there is a roadblock, every time you fail, you can either cry and whine about it, or see that as an opportunity to learn and improve. This is exactly what they want you to display right now. See how every different videos are gathering and converging towards the same direction? Time management skill, very important for artists, even more for freelance. In other words, get ready to talk about a time you juggled multiple responsibilities, organized it all perfectly, even if it wasn't, and completed everything before the deadline. Tell me about a time you had to be very strategic in order to meet all your top priorities. Describe a long-term project that you managed. How did you keep everything moving along in a timely manner? This is mainly for lead position, but we never know. Sometimes it's just not possible to get everything on your to-do list done. Tell me about a time your responsibilities got a little overwhelming. What did you do? Tell me about a time you set a goal for yourself. How did you go about ensuring that you would meet your objective? Give me an example of a time you managed numerous responsibilities. How did you handle that? It's just about showing that you are organized. Oh! Something I forgot. Do never say that when in doubt, you're following your instinct or your emotions. Instinct and emotion, following them, for a company, it's as clear and precise as asking a Ouija board or a magic 8 ball. When in doubt, always ask your manager. Okay? It's just about showing how organized you are and how you take decisions. Communication skill. Again, you're doing a team job, so very important when you're in a company to be a team player. These are the most common questions they would be asking you in an interview when they want you to be a team player. They want to know if you are or not. You probably won't have any trouble thinking of a story for communication questions since it's not only part of most jobs, it's part of everyday life. True, it's about telling a story. However, the thing to remember here is to also talk about your thought process or preparation. Very true. Give me an example of a time when you were able to successfully persuade someone to see things your way at work. Describe a time when you were the resident technical expert. What did you do to make sure everyone was able to understand you? Super important question if you are like a technical artist doing rig, animation, VFX, coding, and stuff like that. Super important. Tell me about a time when you had to rely on written communication to get your ideas across to your team. Give me an example of a time when you had to explain something fairly complex to a frustrated client. How did you handle this delicate situation? Super important for concept artists and for technical artists. Tell me about a successful presentation you gave and what you think it was a hit. This is mainly for sales, but for lead, for concept art, it might be very important too. Motivation and values. A lot of seemingly random interviews questions are actually attempts to learn more about what motivates you. The response will ideally address this directly, even if the question wasn't explicit about it. This is what I call a shit test. Tell me about your proudest professional accomplishment. This is not about flexing, this is about learning a lesson. Across the process. This is about telling a story. Describe a time when you saw some problem and took the initiative to correct it rather than waiting for someone else to do it. This is about taking initiative. Think about when you see a problem, you fix that. Tell me about a time when you worked under close supervision or extremely loose supervision. How did you handle that? Close supervision, are you able to handle micromanagement? Which is horrible, by the way. Like the agile method, this is shit. Not sorry about that. Agile method is horrible. Or extremely loose supervision. This is probably even worse. Are you able to remain under those pressure or absence of pressure? Give me an example of a time you were able to be creative with your work. What was exciting or difficult about it? This is basically your everyday life as an artist, so there might not be that question. You never know. Tell me about a time you were dissatisfied in your work. What could have been done to make it better? This is not about cheating on your work. This is about learning the lessons again. Being able to grow, being able to turn roadblocks, failures into opportunity to grow. Because it is values and core belief systems. All right. This was quite a big... Sorry, I'm a bit tired. This was quite a long presentation. Quite an exhaustive one. This stuff is so important to nail it at work. And the more you nail it, the more they will trust you. And the more that you will be able, as we will see tomorrow, to have advantages on your side for the negotiation process. All right. I'm going to join the voice chat for a moment. If you have any question, feel free to join and ask your question if you want to further discuss what we have been talking about. Thank you, Forscog. Nice to see you. See you tomorrow for the negotiation, I hope. Yeah. As always, if you're watching the replay on YouTube, feel free to join the community on Discord down below. Feel free to like, subscribe on YouTube. Feel free to join us on Twitch. This way you see the presentation earlier. You can interact with the community, with the chat. You can ask questions on Discord if you want to join. Again, link down below. If you really want to support the community and to support my work, you can either support it financially. There are some subscription systems in Twitch, some tip jars. If you want to support in a non-financial way the stream, feel free to recommend the channel to someone you think might find it useful to learn about all those subjects. And please join the Discord. We are building a very nice community of very motivated people, achieving people that will, I'm sure, become the next generation of great artists. We are helping each other. We are kicking each other in the butt. We are talking about art, talking about personal development, talking about D&D and other stuff. Plus on Twitch, we are drawing together. This is exactly what we will do in a few minutes. That there are no questions. In that case, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna cut the stream and restart one for the drawing stream. So if you want to do your homework and just chill and talk about whatever you want, it might be D&D, nerd, life, whatever you want that is kind of not related to the video. Just chill together with some chill music and stuff like that. Feel free to stay. Feel free to grab your tablet or your homework and do that together. I stay till 1 a.m. I'm restarting the stream. I'm playing just the music, just for me to grab a cup of tea. And then we are starting drawing. For people who are leaving or watching YouTube, see you tomorrow and take care.